You hear the river flowing through the rocks, and the sound of that just takes you away. The trees are so tall and majestic now that they've grown up from the flood, and hearing those leaves flutter in the wind and the sound of the river together, it's just creates a magical environment. So the original barn, built in the late 1800s, is this structure with the highest peak, and this was added on, and this is where the horses were brought in at night. So this is the horse barn. It's really dark, and there's no electricity, but you can see some of the old harnesses and yokes hanging here that were used when my grandparents ranched. This is my granddad Hal and Grandma June. And they are the ones that lived here at the Cross 7 Hall Ranch on the South St. Vrain River. The river was so important to my grandparents. The river was always a place we spent time in the summertime, which is when I primarily was here visiting. We'd go down to cool off. We used to have big picnics here, family gatherings. That was such a treat as a kid to go to the river and get cold drinks and watermelon to eat on those hot afternoons.
I'm Deb Hummel. I'm the River Program Director for the Watershed Center. Part of my work is overseeing river restoration projects that are really aimed at climate resilience. Our organization has done a lot of flood recovery and responded to climate disturbances. And so now we're thinking about the future. Our rivers are essentially the lifeblood of our land. They're providing critical habitat. They're also providing critical services to humans, from drinking water and agricultural water to support our local food. The problem is that we are faced with increased likelihood of floods and wildfire that impact the reliability of our clean drinking water sources. We also have increased development that are reducing our river's ability to filter out and respond to those impacts.
If you'd seen this, if you'd been standing here during the flood, by the way, you wouldn't be standing here, you'd have 3 feet of water over your head, because this entire area was just a raging river of brown silt with cars and houses and telephone poles and propane tanks. And after that, I thought, this river's never going to be the same.
It's critical that we find opportunities for river restoration to restore those natural checks and balances where our rivers can filter out and provide clean water for all those downstream uses, from recreation to environment and habitat to drinking water and agricultural water. So we're working currently on a project that's in the foothills of St. Vrain Creek. That's on South St. Vrain Creek. It's just upstream of the town of Lyons, so an area that has a more broader open floodplain. It's on parks and open space land and some private properties. And this project itself is a great opportunity to incorporate different types of features all across the floodplain. So when we have a high flow event or a heavy sediment erosion event after a wildfire, that sediment and flows and nutrients can spread out over the floodplain and deposit and filter, and then provide clean water as it flows downstream to the town of Lyons, eventually the city of Longmont. The Watershed Center works to protect and restore our watersheds, so all the rivers and forests surrounding us, for both people and the environment. And we do that through strong, diverse collaborations and science-based solutions. The timeline that these projects take, there's a lot of time put into planning, and that can take several years. But when you're implementing a river restoration project, the key time is fall through early spring. That's when the construction's happening, when you're on the grounds. That's the best time for river restoration because the activities of all of the excavators and moving material are not impacting water resources. So not a lot of water users are taking water from the river during the low flow winter time. So we can do the project more effectively and not impact downstream. And so you can see today we're in a snowy landscape. We're in the thick of winter here, and operations can still continue in these conditions, and we just kind of work through it. And then as spring sets in and the snow melts, we will have the revegetation happening, and kind of the project will start coming back to life.
The river gives so much to the town as a whole and to each individual community member. There are spots along the river that the community goes to pause and reflect and express themselves, express grief, express joy, create community art, and those places are really important. And I think we're all incredibly grateful to the river for that.
I like to think of the river as really sensitive. We see high flows come through every spring where we see such dramatic changes. We've seen high flows come out of floods or after fire, and we see the responses of the surrounding land and how it's been impacted in our rivers. So I like to think of rivers as the sensitive responders to everything going on around them. And so they might swell with a disturbance, or they might lose flows because of disturbance. And they're just really responsive to the land around them.
Fire in the hole!
Well, it is important because we really trying to help Mother Nature. So we are trying to filter the water some and slow it down just in case of a big event, it will slow down the water and hopefully we can get something going right here. That way it will be erosion control.
So the main part of this project was really cutting down these high deposits to recreate a connected, active, healthy riparian floodplain where water can spread out, where you can support the different riparian vegetative communities. So there's a real ecological benefit, and it's allowing those natural processes to occur.
The rivers are a really important part of our farming and cultivation practice here. There's so many waterways that have lost their vitality so tremendously, and whether it's pollution or damming or just interference.
Hi, boys.
We're really fortunate that this is a waterway that still has a lot of vitality with the proximity to the snowmelt. It's a living essence, and that sense of being able to cultivate food, cultivate medicinal plants with that as a foundation is it's really incredible.
I'm a senior at Skyline High School in the district. My role is pretty much the same as everybody else's role. I take water samples, I'll put the bottle in the river, and then when we take it back to the lab, I'm usually the one who does a lot of the lab work. I really like doing the chemistry part of it. It's really important for us to have our native species and to make sure that we're taking care of our native species. And river restoration is one of the ways that you can do that. And getting a group of people together to take care of the spaces that our native species live in is really important, because not only does it connect you with the animals and make you feel like you're doing something good, but it's good for them as well. And overall biodiversity is really important for ecosystem health as a whole.
This project brings me and it brings our partners and community a lot of hope.
The river is central to our identity and our culture. Our rivers are the veins that carry the health of our communities.
It's very hopeful to see I can do something about it. I can make a positive change. It's really nice.
The river has a capacity to really connect us into something that's beyond ourselves. And the protection that we apply to the river is something that will benefit so much that we can't even conceive of.
I'm hopeful this restoration work will provide a waterway that's clean, will house fish, support the riparian area for years to come.
I have really enjoyed every moment watching this river recover. With the restoration efforts, it all came back.
It's really incorporating benefits to all, from the local food and agricultural production we have, to the drinking water we need, to the local fisheries and environment and wildlife that our rivers sustain. And so the river restoration work that we're doing is incorporating all of those goals and all of those perspectives to maintain those needs now and into the future.